Most people don't have money problems. They have financial education problems. It's not that they don't work hard. It's not that they aren't intelligent. It's that they learned the wrong rules from people who never won the money game. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not a finance book. It's a book about how you think, about what you were taught, and about why you keep running in a race that leads nowhere. If this book makes you uncomfortable, that is not a coincidence. It's because it touches something no one explained to you in time. Kiyosaki grew up with two father figures. Poor Dad, educated, with university studies, a stable job, a fixed salary, and security. Rich Dad, an entrepreneur without formal degrees but with a financial mindset. Both worked hard, both wanted the best for their families, but they thought about money in completely opposite ways. The book is not about who was the better person. It is about which mindset creates freedom and which one creates dependence. Stay until the end, because there's one idea from the book that almost no one mentions, and it's the one that truly separates those who understand money from those who merely chase it. The 6 key lessons. Not what the book says, but what it is really teaching. Lesson 1. The rich do not work for money. Reprogramming your emotional relationship with income. And this is where most people misunderstand the book, because this lesson is not about money. At first glance, this phrase is irritating. It sounds arrogant, even irresponsible. But Kiyosaki is not saying, do not work. He is pointing to something more subtle. Most people accept jobs out of fear. Fear of not being able to pay bills, not fitting in, and not failing. That fear turns a salary into an emotional lifeline, and when money becomes emotion, it becomes the owner of your decisions. Rich Dad taught people to observe money as a system, not as a reward. If you only work for money, you obey schedules, you avoid risks, and you repeat routines. If you work to learn, you develop judgment, you understand processes, and you gain vision. The real lesson. The problem is not work. The problem is training your mind to depend on a fixed income. If you ever accepted a job you hated just for security, this part of the book is not judging you. It is describing you. Lesson 2. Assets versus liabilities. The financial literacy no one explains properly. This lesson is not about accounting. It is about brutal honesty. An asset is not something that goes up in value. An asset is something that pays for your lifestyle without your constant presence. Most people confuse the appearance of wealth with the generation of wealth. New cars, big houses, financed trips, everything looks like success, but it requires constant income to sustain it. That creates a silent trap. The more you achieve, the more imprisoned you become. The rich build assets first, then they buy luxuries with the surplus. The real lesson. It doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is what happens to your money when you are not there. And here comes the uncomfortable part. Because understanding this doesn't make you free. It only shows you why you are not free yet. Lesson 3. School does not teach you how to become rich. The clash between security and freedom. No one told you this in school because the system was not designed for you to know it. The education system was designed in another era. An era where one job could last for decades. Stability was possible, and change was slow. Today the world works differently, but we are still using the same mental mold. School trains you to follow instructions, avoid mistakes, and seek approval. Money requires the opposite, making decisions with incomplete information, making mistakes quickly, and thinking in a non-linear way. That's why financially brilliant people fail, not because they are incapable, but because they obey rules that no longer apply. The real lesson, academic intelligence does not guarantee freedom. Financial education begins when you question what you have learned. Lesson 4. Fear and desire control financial life. The invisible psychology of money. This is where the book stops being financial and becomes truly uncomfortable. Here the book becomes psychological. Most people live trapped between two poles, fear of losing and desire to consume. That cycle looks like this. 1. You earn more. 2. You spend more. 3. You need to earn more. 4. You become more afraid of losing it. Result. More income, less freedom. The rich do not eliminate emotions. They learn not to react automatically. When fear appears, they analyze. When desire arises, they calculate. The real lesson: if you don't govern your financial emotions, your money will govern your life. If all of this sounds familiar, it's not a personal failure, it's a learned pattern. Lesson 5. Build your business even if you have a job. The silent transition strategy. Kiyosaki doesn't promote jumping into the void. He promotes a two-track path. 1. Your job pays the bills, reduces pressure, and buys you time. 2. Your business creates assets, develops judgment, and builds independence. The common mistake is waiting for the perfect moment. That moment doesn't exist. The rich start small. They learn as they move forward. They correct along the way. The real lesson: freedom doesn't arrive all at once. It's built in parallel with your current life. We are reaching the most important idea in the book, and also the most ignored one. Lesson 6. The difference lies in how you think. Inner language and mental architecture. This is the deepest lesson, and the least tangible. I can't afford it is an order to give up. How can I afford it is an order to think. One closes possibilities. The other activates creativity, analysis, and strategy. The rich train their minds like a muscle. They do not look for comfortable answers. They look for better questions. The real lesson: your inner dialogue defines your financial reality before any income does. After this book, you can no longer say you didn't know. Rich Dad, Poor Dad does not give you a map. It changes your compass. It does not tell you, invest here. It asks you, why do you depend on working your whole life? That is its true power, not financial, mental. My opinion about the book. This book doesn't enter your life as a lesson. It enters as an uncomfortable conversation that no one had with you when it was necessary. It doesn't begin with numbers. It begins with a crack, 2 fathers, 2 ways of thinking, and a silent question that accompanies the entire book. Who taught you what you know about money? And why did you believe them? From a literary point of view, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not a technical text, nor does it try to be one. It's a pedagogical story, a modern fable disguised as personal experience. Kiyosaki doesn't build an academic argument. He builds an emotional contrast. And that explains why the book is remembered more for its ideas than for its data. The true subject of the book is not money, it is obedience. Many people believe this book is about wealth. In reality, it is about dependence. Dependence on a salary, dependence on approval, dependence on a system that promises security in exchange for your time. The poor dad is not poor because he lacks intelligence. He is poor because he believes in rules he no longer questions. And the rich dad is not rich because of luck. He is rich because he thinks before obeying. And this point is key. The book doesn't attack people. It attacks inherited beliefs. It doesn't tell you that your parents were wrong. It tells you something more delicate. They did the best they could with the map they were given. From the perspective of personal development, this is the most powerful lever in the book. Not because of its technical precision, but because of its psychological effect. Kiyosaki redefines everyday words to force you to look differently. He is not interested in winning an accounting debate. He is interested in making you start asking yourself, does this bring me closer to freedom? Or does it force me to keep running? The value here is not in the perfect definition, it is in the habit of analyzing the flow of your life, not only the flow of your money. As a literary critic, this must be said directly. Kiyosaki exaggerates. He simplifies. He polarizes. But he does it with narrative intention. The book is not seeking surgical precision, it's seeking awakening. And it awakens because it touches a sensitive nerve. The idea that working hard doesn't guarantee progress. That statement is uncomfortable, and that is exactly why it works. The risk of the book, confusing mindset with results. Here appears the most delicate part. Read without judgment, the book can create a dangerous illusion that changing your mindset is enough, but it's not. The book opens the door, but it doesn't teach you the whole path. It doesn't explain real risks. It doesn't show failures in depth. It doesn't speak enough about the time, discipline, and patience required. This is where the adult reader must step in, not to reject the book, but to complete it with reality. The greatest value of the book is not financial, it is identity-based. This book gave many people permission to think differently, question the traditional career path, and talk about money without guilt, and that, even if incomplete, is powerful. It doesn't teach you how to get rich, it teaches you to stop thinking like someone who only aspires to survive. In conclusion, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not a manual. It is a trigger. It's not a book to copy. It's a book to discuss with yourself. If you read it expecting clear answers, it will frustrate you. If you read it willing to question what you have always taken for granted, it will make you uncomfortable. And that's a good sign, because in the end, the book doesn't ask you how much money you want. It asks you something deeper. Do you want security? Or do you want control over your life? And that question, properly understood, is worth more than any financial formula. Books that complement Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel. Why it comes first. Kiyosaki awakens your financial mind, but Housel teaches you how the mind truly works with money. It contributes. Understanding the emotional side behind financial decisions. Real stories that illustrate why knowing numbers is not enough. Deep reflections on behavior, patience, and perception. It complements the mindset by explaining the why behind your financial choices. The Intelligent Investor, Benjamin Graham. Why it is essential. If Kiyosaki helped you see assets and liabilities, Graham gives you judgment to invest sensibly and sustainably. It contributes. Discipline to evaluate investments without fear or speculation. Fundamentals of long-term investing. Concepts such as margin of safety that protect investors. It makes your financial mindset applicable and less risky. Mindset, Carol S. Dweck. Why you need it. Kiyosaki shows you two mindsets. Dweck explains how a growth mindset is formed, maintained, and transformed. It contributes. How inner dialogue influences your decisions. Strategies to cultivate resilience and curiosity. Tools to redefine failure and learning. It turns the idea of financial growth into a real psychological practice. The E-Myth Revisited, Michael E. Gerber. Why it fits perfectly. Kiyosaki inspires you to build businesses. Gerber shows you how to make those businesses truly work without depending only on you. It contributes. The difference between working in your business and working on your business. Systems that allow you to scale, delegate, and automate. A practical approach to transforming ideas into organizations that operate. It turns Kiyosaki's business vision into something sustainable. The Simple Path to Wealth, J. L. Collins. Why it is key. Many people understand assets, but few understand how to invest with common sense and without complexity. The book contributes. Simple and clear strategies for investing in the market. Explanations of index funds and why they work. Practical financial advice without complicated jargon. It makes the concept of financial freedom operational with steps you can follow. No book solves life in a single reading. Books are mirrors and tools. What Rich Dad, Poor Dad does is awaken a question. The other books help you build well-grounded answers. The message is not get rich, it's this. If you don't understand money, you will spend your life working for someone who does. The question isn't how much you earn. The real question is, how many days could you live if you stopped working today? That number is your true salary. If you have ever felt that you work a lot and move forward very little, this channel is for you. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Here, we don't talk about working more, we talk about thinking better. And if you want the next step, watch the video I leave here, the 4-hour work week and why the problem is not work, it is the game. This is Purposeful Books. See you soon.